Hello everyone, I'm Florida Today engagement editor John A. Torres, and we're excited to bring you more of our 2022 election coverage. Joining us today is Anthony Yantz, Democratic challenger to Republican incumbent Randy Fine for Florida House District 33, which serves mainly southern Brevard. Hey Anthony, and welcome to the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Before we get into the questions, which I call the John Torres hot seat, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Born and raised in New England, product of the foster care system, and an avid lover of nature. I have 5 kids now with my wife. We moved to Brevard about 10 years ago, and absolutely love it. I mean, this is a great place for families.
And you're a realtor, right?
Yes, correct. My wife and I are both realtors.
Nice. Now, Randy Fine has a pretty loyal fan base and has won his last 2 elections by about 10% each, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Why did you get into this race? What makes you think you can win this race?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you. One of the main reasons I got in this race is because of my kids. There's so much going on politically within our school systems. And as the Boy Scout in me, you got to leave it better than you found it. After 10 years of living here, I've looked at the decline of our political system and with the individuals in it, in the way they treat each other. And so it really started to fester within me, and I said, enough is enough. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to try. This is my first time doing this. And hopefully I can bring a semblance of normalcy back to the process, which is bringing the voice back to the people. Because I'm a people person, first and foremost.
Right. Well, that's a perfect segue into my next question. We're increasingly are polarized as a nation between right and left. Should politicians try to work across the aisle? And how would you do that? I mean, how would you try to work with the other side if elected?
No, of course. I think the important thing to remember is that no relationship is unlimited. Mm-hmm. And when you go into politics or anything thinking that you're always going to get what you want, you will fail. And you set these expectations up for yourself, it's just not going to end well. And so one of the things that I'm really good at is finding common ground. And in the conversations that I've had with some diehard Republicans in my area, they're fed up with the division. They're fed up with the fact that we can't just come to the table and figure out how to move our communities forward together, in understanding that we're not going to get all of our asks. That's not really the point. The point is, how can we make our communities stronger, more wealthy, more diverse, and we have to do that together. Right. And so I'm meeting folks every single day that are like, yeah, we need that. Enough of the far left and far right. Let's figure out how we can come back to the table and have these family discussions again. Right. And agree to disagree, but still move forward.
Right, exactly. We don't always have to agree on everything.
No, not at all.
Here's one that's hopefully right up your alley. You, as a realtor, obviously we have an affordable housing crisis here in Florida. And I mean, places like the Space Coast have really been hit hard. I know several people that have had to move out of the area.
Yes.
Do you have any special insight as that, or a plan? How would you help alleviate that problem?
Yeah, so my wife and I, we love working with first-time homebuyers because there are programs within the towns that offer assistance for this exact reason, to give people the availability to own their own home, invest in themselves, and not in larger entities that are owning lots of properties. That's what we have happening. We have a lot of foreign money buying lots of properties up and then renting for really high. And there's a lot of people having to skip town because of that. And that's sad. So we definitely need to work with developers within our municipalities and figuring out how we can create affordable housing for people to stay here, for people to want to move here to work in these industries.
Right. Your opponent, Randy Fine, has been a proponent of the Stop Woke Act and the Parental Rights and Education Bill, which is known by critics as the Don't Say Gay bill. What is your take on these issues?
So I'm not going to dismiss the fact that some people might have issues within our schools with certain things, but what I will talk about is the fact that there is a lot of really bad rhetoric that's thrown around, especially within politics, and that's got to stop. This is one of those things. When you use this type of rhetoric to stir up hate and a lot of emotion, bad things do happen. Our schools already have a system in place to deal with things like a boy going into a girl's bathroom. And if there's anything inappropriate happening, our schools are already designed to take care of this. This is not a new thing. And boys have been playing girls' sports and vice versa even since I was young. There's a method to which these things are already taken care of, and by shining light on them in a different way and making it seem huge and a big problem and screaming about it, it's harming our communities. It's not helping.
So would you work to try and repeal those bills, or do you think it's just the rhetoric attached to
What I would focus on is working with our school system in educating our parents and saying, look, if you're uncomfortable with these are the avenues you have. If you don't want your child reading a specific book, for example, you can actually flag your child to not have access to certain material. It's always been the case. We just need to bring that back into the spotlight a little bit, educate, and inform.
Gotcha. The Indian River Lagoon is known as the heart of this area, pretty much.
Yeah.
All the boating, all the recreation, the beauty, but the health is precarious at best. Do you have a plan or any ideas on how to help bring it back to its health?
Yeah, so a lot of the older folks that I talk to in our communities have said they used to be able to eat out of this lagoon and the canals, and now it's just continuing to fail, and they are mad about these false promises, about the appearance of funding, but then nothing substantial is happening. One of the things that I've been working on is figuring out a way to help the public understand that when we get a certain amount of money for a project, it's not something you might immediately see the effects of. And so, again, education, where does this money go? To what programs? And I think evaluating these programs and the successes and the failures while having transparency, I think is going to be key. Because some people might think this $200 million, we're going to see a huge improvement right away. These are stepping stones. We need to make that more apparent to people so that they understand.
Gotcha. How old are your kids?
So the oldest is 14. He's the only boy. The rest are girls, all the way down to 3 years old.
So they like Disney?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Says the Reedy Creek Agreement is set to expire next year because of what happened this last year with our governor and so forth. What are your thoughts? And should a private company like Disney enjoy special status, or is that something that's inappropriate?
I'm on board with reevaluating the amount in which Disney pays. I'm all about that. Taking this type of harsh step and putting these, I would like to say, barriers or this increased amount of taxes on each municipality to have to figure out, I think that's unrealistic. There's a reason why they are the entity that they are because of how much they take care of. So we should keep allowing them to do that. But I am all for reevaluating how much they pay.
Right.
Of course, everybody should have to pay their fair share.
Gotcha. Abortion. Our governor signed a bill this year that bans most abortions after 15 weeks. Do you support or oppose a complete ban on all abortions with no exceptions, or do you support a ban on abortions with exceptions in the cases of rape or incest or the mother's health?
I support a woman's right to choose fully. It's my opinion on what happens to somebody else is irrelevant when it comes to healthcare. It is between that woman, their doctor, and their family. End of story. I will never try to insert myself into that narrative because it's not. No politician belongs there.
Gotcha.
It's between that person And it's not just women; it's men's health care too.
Sure. Yeah.
We do not need to be inserting ourselves into their health care.
Right.
That's why there's a HIPAA.
The former President, Trump has, contested the results of the 2020 elections, obviously through legal challenges in various, states and courts. They have filed more than 60 lawsuits in courts around the country claiming fraud or the manipulation of our voting systems. Do you believe that the 2020 election that resulted in Joe Biden winning the presidency was accurate or inaccurate? Should it be decertified? Is there any, and what is your thought on the restrictive sort of like voting legislation that has been?
I think it was accurate, and
Yeah.
there's plenty of proof to show that.
Yeah.
It's been very entertaining watching those think that it wasn't, and them trying to scramble to come up with new reasons as to why it wasn't. That's not something I spend too much brain power on because I know, and many other Americans know that it was accurate and certified correctly. I think our supervisors of elections here in Brevard has been stellar. And it's my understanding it's been that way for a very long time, and they've never really had any issues. And so, I commend the folks that do work at the supervisors of elections office because that's not an easy job.
Yeah.
And they do a good job.
Speaking of elections and campaigning, have you been going door to door or hosting rallies or you?
Yes. So I haven't been going door to door as much as some would like me to be going door to door. What I am trying to do is use technology to our advantage. This is 2022. A lot of people are on social media, and there's also some that are not. And so what my team and I are doing we are evaluating the neighborhoods in which we will find an older generation, and those are the neighborhoods that we've marked and slated to be door to door because we will probably get better results in that manner. And then there's areas where we should be sending text messages or mailers. And so that is what we're doing there. My foster dad always told me, if there's nothing big going on, you need to create something yourself. Well, I've been creating events, and we're actually in the process of creating a Halloween community event in October 29th at the Field of Dreams in West Melbourne. And the Promise Cafe and Bakery will be handling all the food for that. But that's what we do as a community. We work within our communities and try to benefit them.
Can we talk about your experiences in foster care for a second? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
How did that work for you, and what happened when you turned 18? And all
Yeah,
that?
so I was raised in a very small town, one blinking light, and my school saved my life. This is why schools are so important for me, because it was the teachers and the guidance counselors that figured out that I wasn't being fed, that my half-brother and half-sister who lived with me at the time, we were all being beaten. Nothing no child should ever have to endure, and then some. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm thankful that my teachers stood up and they realized what was going on within my household, and they spoke up. And the state did take us away. I was 13 years old. I was moved to about 4 or 5 different families, a couple different schools, and that was just, it was a terrible yet rewarding experience because it gave me so much insight to how different families operate, how different schools function, and it made me value the family structure and the school structures and what they all provide. When I turned, I found a more secure home throughout the years, was adopted, and then I was kicked out of that home because I chose soccer over church. And I value religion, but I don't agree that it should be forced upon somebody, and that was that. And then I met my foster dad, John, and he just became an amazing support system and helped me, through college. And yeah, it's been a ride, but I'm thankful for it. Definitely a lot of struggle, but I think it's given me some seriously thick skin to help my own kids in their struggles in day-to-day life. And so,
I apologize if that brought back some bad memories for you.
No, this is important because as a product of the foster care system, I can help shine light on foster care systems in our own area.
And that's what I was going to ask.
One of my goals has always been, and actually I should go back, in Vermont, I was a part of that system. They had asked me, because I was so immersed within the foster care system, they asked me to be on the board there and help give them perspective. And so I hope to do that here too, because I know this is a huge issue.
Yeah, we've had some children in the last year or two die here in Brevard County in foster care. And it's been, so.
And I've also learned that within Brevard County, there's a lot of grandparents that are the sole providers for these kids as well. So, yeah.
Great. Wow. Well, I'm glad it worked for you and the system worked for you. Thank you. Let's talk about gun rights for a second. This is a pro-gun state, pro-gun area, and our governor has pledged to sign what his supporters call a constitutional carry bill that would allow residents to carry concealed guns without needing licenses. Do you support or oppose that passage?
It's a horrible idea. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, I talk to police officers to say this will put a major strain on their operations. If we talk about active shooter situations, as horrible as they are, a police officer would have to, police officers, whoever goes into those buildings, has to vet every single person that would be otherwise carrying, or go into the mall. If there's an active shooter situation in the mall, they would have to go in, and the time would be taken away trying to disarm people that would be running around with guns. It's just, it's a stupid, horrible idea. I'm a gun owner. My wife and I both conceal carry. And the Democrats, they use the term gun control. I know amongst Republicans this is a horrible term, and I get that, and there was a bad use of wording. But we do need to figure out how to make it so much more difficult for the bad guys to obtain them, while allowing the folks who can the opportunity to do so safely.
And it isn't just licenses; it's the proper training, right?
Of course,
I mean, you have to.
I don't know in what society someone would think that would be helpful, because again, this is going to put a very bad strain on our police forces.
Yeah.
It's going to give them so much more work, and it's unnecessary.
Let's talk about weed. Recreational, like marijuana. We have, medical marijuana now, obviously in the state.
Yeah.
Do you support or oppose any legislation that would legalize small amounts of marijuana for recreational use?
It's a plant that grows out of the ground. I'm completely for legalizing it. I have friends throughout school and in college that it's helped with pain management. I don't use it myself, but I trust the professionals, the doctors that prescribe it for the reasons that they're being prescribed for. And I think that we should have systems in place to put these things in check, but we should be legalizing it. And I think we should also go back to all the folks that have been incarcerated because of these small doses, and we should be retroactively freeing them if that's the only thing that they were put in jail for. So.
Gotcha. Immigration.
Yep.
DeSantis recently ordered nearly about 50, migrants from Texas flown to up to Cape Cod, right, up to Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
Critics say that he's using them as pawns, and that it's grandstanding, and he said that his plan calls attention to what he calls, Biden's reckless border security. It seems a big issue here in Florida. We get a lot of letters to the editor about our southern borders and so forth. Do you support his actions in this, or is there? I mean, I know it's not Florida's problem with Mexico, but what is your feeling on immigration and migrants? And
I think that was a very poor choice of actions for him to take. Playing with people's lives, creating false promises. I mean, I've seen documents that these immigrants were given, listing out the things that they would be receiving in this wonderful place, and yet they're dropped off and left. I commend the folks up north. They're like, hi, and we'll take care of you now. We're not going to let this stop us from doing what's right. And the response was amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I don't agree with the governors that are doing this. This is playing with people's lives. These are especially important people in our agricultural business, which is huge here. And you had a mayor of Gainesville say, "We'll take them. Give us the 12 million, give us these folks, and they'll have jobs and stuff here." And so I think this is just one example of definite grandstanding,
Right.
just to rile up a base.
When was the last time somebody changed your mind about something?
This morning,
What was it?
eating 2 bagels or 1.
You wanted to?
Yeah, I try.
I usually want to also.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, usually one's peanut butter and one's cream cheese. But
peanut butter. Wow.
yeah,
Obviously,
well, peanut butter and honey. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like butter on my bagels, but
Yeah.
Are your kids in public school or?
Yep. So my kids go to Pineapple Cove Classical Academy. They started at Odyssey Charter School, and I know there's a lot going on around charter schools and the funding.
Yeah.
And I've always told people that I'm for choice, but not at the expense of other public schools, like truly public institutions where we do have a problem with funding.
Yeah.
And so I am definitely not for privatization of schools if it means our public institutions are going to suffer.
What are some of the other issues that you feel are important right now, and while you're running?
Teacher pay is huge for me. Again, going back to what a school has done for my life, what a teacher has done for me, what guidance counselors have done for me. We need to pay teachers as the professionals they are. We need a teacher to be able to go home and feel like they're being supported by their school districts. We need a teacher to go home and feel like they've had a successful day teaching, not tracking down school supplies or reprimanding or the plethora of other things that a teacher has to do now for the low wage that they're given. The extracurricular activities that a lot of teachers have to do outside of their contracted hours and that are not paid for, bless their hearts, they do a lot outside their contracted hours. So we do need to pay teachers as the professionals they are, and this will bring more teachers in because we do have a shortage. And not only teachers, but our police and fire. Okay, we're running in Palm Bay, we're running at a serious deficit. And in order to protect these people, to have good response times for EMS, we need to fund them. We need to make it appealing for people to come in, people to come back to Brevard County like I decided to do because I knew this was going to be the best place for my kids. We need to create that narrative again so that we can recruit more people, more teachers, more police, more fire.
You mentioned Palm Bay, which is obviously part of this. It's a huge part of this area, of this district. What is unique about like South Brevard, to you?
Yeah, I like that we can get like country-ish, and then we can go into a downtown area-ish, and we can drive to Orlando. This has always been exciting for me and my family, being from New England, because you have to drive a lot further in New England to go somewhere exciting. But here, there's so much going around. We can go fishing, canoeing, kayaking, swimming on the ocean. This is like the ultimate place for a family, and especially a family that might not make as much money. They still have the availability to do fun things. And I think that's important because a lot of the folks in Palm Bay, their median income is like $29,000. It's not exceptional, and we need to figure out how to provide these green spaces, which is another big thing that we need to sort out here in Palm Bay. But yeah, it's the ultimate family destination, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it, Anthony. But I want you to tell viewers why they should vote for you.
Yeah.
This is your chance right now.
Well, listen, thank you for allowing me to be here. This is great. I appreciate everybody that I come in contact with in Brevard County and outside of Brevard County. I find serious value in relationships. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that matters not to me. What matters is if we can find common ground, come to the table, not just dismiss each other, and figure out solutions to everyday problems for everyday citizens, not just the elite. That's what I want. More roundtable discussions, family discussions. How can we move our communities forward together and bring real Brevard values back to Tallahassee?
Great, Anthony. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm John A. Torres, and thank you for watching. More information on Space Coast elections is available at floridatoday.com/elections.